What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Cameron Selby, and we're going to be talking about the cornerback class for the 2025 NFL Draft. You know, this cornerback class is actually pretty solid, top to bottom. And I was talking to Cam about this before. I'm not doing a nickel video. It's just too difficult to project who's going to play nickel or who's going to play corner because a lot of things change at the NFL level, and you're drafted based on what the coaches believe you can do. So we're going to just do a cornerback video, and I'm going to mention some nickels that I really like as guys that I think should play nickel, but I'm not going to rank them necessarily.
Yeah, and it's really hard on top of that because of the injuries as well.
Yeah.
Basically, all the guys up top, or a majority of them at least, had either down years or injured years. Somebody stepped up. Very few did, but those guys have really risen. But yeah, we'll get into a lot. We have a lot of honorable mentions, so we're going to kick it off right here once we share the screen. Quincy Riley out of Louisville, Kobe Bryant out of Kansas, looking to be the second Kobe Bryant in the NFL.
Yes.
Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech, and Noah Williams out of Cal. Give us a little tidbit on each of these guys.
Well, Quincy Riley, starting it off from Louisville, he was our GTD preseason dark horse. We talked about him earlier in the year, but some things that okay. I really like Quincy Riley because I think he is just a hard-nosed, competitor, and I think that's awesome. That does not matter if you can't guard the players. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. So he had a 40.2 run grade, which is awful. Terrible. And the problem is a lot of people want to put him at nickel. And we talked about this a second ago. How can you put a guy at nickel that can't tackle? You got 40.2 run grade. There's no freaking way he can move into nickel. Even if he's the right size, he fits all the boxes. That box has to be checked for him to do that. 52.7 man grade. That's awful too. And I'm like, okay, I think Quincy looked really good at the Senior Bowl though. And I think he looked great in 2023. But by the numbers, and I'll read the numbers off. 2023 film was way better. 2023 stats, 36.5% completion rate, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. He gave up 37.2 passer rating. 2024, 47.7% completion rate, 446 yards, gave up 3 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, and then also a 73.0 passer rating. Just a down season, and then can't tackle. It's like, I really like Quincy Riley, but he's probably a 4th or 5th rounder, and he could do well in the NFL as, a number 2 cornerback if he gets his shit together. Because right now he can't do it. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant, like you said, I like Kobe Bryant a lot. He has a 90.8 run grade, which is so much better.
Way better.
So much better. But he gives up 55.6% of his completions or his targets towards him. He was the top cornerback of the Shrine Bowl. He's a really good competitor also. I like his athleticism. I don't like his long speed, but that's okay. He's got good traits. He's got good ball skills. I think he has NFL traits. Man coverage style, which is fun. But like I said, long speed's a problem. His change of directions can be a problem. And overall, his technique's a problem. So that's why those 3 things are important when you play corner. So he has to come down a little bit. You can't be that high if you're going to do those things bad. Mm-hmm. Dorian Strong is one of the most polarizing guys because I think Dorian Strong has such a wide range of outcomes. And that includes being a top 5 corner in this class. So top 5 corner or completely out of the league in a couple of years type of thing. I think that he fits really well in a zone style defense, even knowing he's one of the guys that people like talking about as a man coverage corner. I think he's much better in zone personally. Good at leverage, ball skills are good tackler. I mean, those things are important, but he lacks the elite athleticism that I think I want, and he gambles a lot. And I love that. Mm-hmm. I also hate that. So, it's one of those give and takes. But I think that's kind of my thing is he just has such a wide outcome. I think he's got a okay floor, but I also think it could be where he gets stuck in a rotation, never makes it on the field, and just is like a number 2 for the rest of his life or out of the league. Noah Williams, 7 interceptions this year. Led the nation with interceptions, 7 of them. Really solid. He's a competitor. press man style, strength, physicality. I love those things, but he does lack athleticism and quickness, and it gets him in trouble at times. But I thought he did really well this year, and so those are those four guys. All of them are interesting in different ways, but I think Dorian Strong has the most upside of all the guys in this list here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say about this list. Is just interesting. There's a lot of nice tools, but then there's a lot of eye-popping, like, what are we doing with these kind of numbers? So it's very interesting to see with these guys. But yeah, a lot of mid to late round talent that we see late round corners all the time really thrive and succeed. So if one or two do in this class, it's probably a list similar to what we have on here.
Dorian Strong is my bet to do that, but I can't rank him based on a bet, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nickels. This is my nickel board, everybody, because we have to talk about nickels. Because last year I talked about Mike Sanderstill, and he wasn't in our rankings, but then he was in our top 50, and I think that kind of gives a really weird. That's a weird situation when you have a guy that you love, but you can't place him on a corner list because you think he's a nickel at the next level. Then he goes to the NFL, plays really well at corner. That's why we don't know. That's why there's no nickel list right here. But our nickel list for honorable mention, and just kind of talking about these guys. One of my favorite players in this whole draft, and he will be top 100, is Upton Stout out of Western Kentucky. I absolutely just love Upton Stout. I love small school guys that get after it like this. He's from Houston, down the street. He played nickel for almost all of his for most of his snaps. 90.9 run grade out of the nickel, 7.9% missed tackle rate, and he is a little dude. He's a little dude, and he gets after it, and I love that about him. He played 56.8% of his snaps in man at the nickel. That's awesome. Out of the slot, it's very hard to play man, and then only give up 51.5% completion rate. I love this guy. This is one of my favorite guys in this whole class. He's obviously not going to be a top 50 player because he just isn't. He doesn't have the same upside as some players, but I just love the grit and the tenacity and all the things. Man, he's awesome. High IQ, very capable of blanketing. And the only one of the biggest cons is when they played against Alabama, he had a 41.6 grade. It's Alabama. He's playing for Western Kentucky. But you want to see that be better if you're going to talk about trying to put him in the NFL and play against those guys also.
Right.
And then Sebastian Castro, kind of falling from grace.
There's a lot of red with his athleticism on our spreadsheet, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. He fell from grace too. I mean, he did not play well this year. He had a 17.1 missed tackle rate. That's his 2023 film was so much better. And that also includes having guys like Cooper DeJean next to him and probably some comfortability. He has some man coverage okay. He's okay at man coverage, but I don't think it's his calling card by any means. As you said, all the red on his athleticism scores takes that away from him a little bit. He's old, but he's very intelligent, and that's really what is his thing. Being intelligent, high IQ, making plays, just as a roamer and athlete in that way. But I'm not necessarily as excited about him as I am in an Upton Stout or the next guy in Jacob Parrish, who I think Jacob Parrish is a stud. I think Jacob Parrish is top 100 also for us, and he plays a position that is positionless on our board here. But yeah, he's an absolute stud. He actually played outside corner a lot. He ran a 4.35, and he had an 8.3% missed tackle rate. He played both outside corner and nickel this last year. His change of direction speed is awesome. His feet are always under him. He's fluid, quickness, and foot speed. And then also love his high IQ when his route recognition is really good. He looked comfortable when he had to come into the box against tight sets, and he's made some plays. Very willing and capable tackler. He had 91 total nickel snaps, which isn't very many, but I saw the things I wanted to see when he was at the nickel spot, basically. So, and he's really good against screens, which is something nickels have to be good at, basically. I think if he is outside, his height and his frame are an issue because he's 5'11", and his awareness with the ball in the air is kind of a problem. But the other thing is just I think production was a problem with only one interception on the year. But otherwise, he's a stud. He's a fun player. And I think he's I don't know where I'm going to rank these guys between each other because Upton Stout and Jacob Parrish, like I said, are going to be top 100, but I don't know which one would be higher than the other. I mean, they're both so much fun to watch play.
Yeah, so we talked about a lot of ups and downs with honorable mention list. This is more so a lot of ups. And Sebastian Castro, which just kind of leaning on, hey, we've seen you be good before, and we're just chalking up to a down year, but this is what you are, being 25 in his rookie year, and just athleticism-wise, just not providing anything worth being excited about. Upton Stout, just wanted to mention, he is the only corner on this list below 5'10".
Yeah.
Only 180. He had by far, not many people did the bench rep test because corners, one, that doesn't matter as much, but it's just like that's usually you're going to be trailing other position groups as a whole. 21 reps at 5'8", 180.
Stud.
And 90.9, like you said, run great. Just gritty grinder. Just lots to like about him. Jacob Parrish, like you said, really strong. So yeah, a lot of these guys are just late rounders that we just kind of feel like, hey, in the right situation, all these guys, even Sebastian Castro, because he could very well go undrafted based on how poorly this year and the combine combined went. Just kind of looking back and be like, why were they not even close to being among best at their position?
Sebastian Castro is 2024 or 2025 Cam Kitchens. That's what he reminds me of. Mm-hmm. Great season in 23, okay season in 24, and then a down, terrible. Both of them were terrible, but Cam Kitchens and Sebastian Castro at the combine. So that's kind of what it reminds me of. I'm not saying that he's going to be Cam Kitchens good, but like, I don't see why not. I mean, he has that upside. Stylistically, smart player. He's older. So I don't see like that being out of his realm of possibilities, basically.
Right. All right, so yeah, let's jump into some rankings. Overall, only 9 that we are going to rank for this position. But starting it off, we got Darian Porter out of Iowa State. One of the older players in this class as well, but a little bit more refined and has some experience. He's a tall corner as well. So yeah, give us a little bit about him.
Well, I don't know that I think he actually has the experience that we wish he had because of the fact that he didn't become a full-time starter ever in his career. He is one of the most projection players, and I'm not just talking about at any position. He is by far the most projected player because he played wide receiver before he played corner and then moved to corner and then sat a year and then finally this year got some playing time. But here's some stuff that I just want to talk about. Of course, his run grade was awful. He can't tackle. He's not used to it. He played wide receiver before this. Broke every record in high school track. Every record in high school. He's an ex-wide receiver, like I said. He had a 29.4 completion rate this year. That's awesome. 2.5% completion per route that he was playing against. He had 0 touchdowns given up and 3 interceptions. All those numbers are awesome. I just wish he would have played more as a whole this last year. Man coverage, he's got the length that is really fun. Uses positioning since he knows he can catch up basically to kind of bait quarterbacks at times, which is cool. I think that's a fun thing to do. He's a fluid mover. He has upside to be a top, 10 coverage corner. But it's like, I don't know how to project him. Like, he's 9 because at the same time, he, didn't play and didn't start till his 6th year. He's extremely raw. He's not willing to tackle. Like, his age is a problem. There's so many bad things, but it's like at the same time, if you did hit, he's a top 10 corner. And you're probably going to take him in the 3rd round. So are you willing to do that and just take that like shot on a guy that you know could be that guy? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to take a step back and be like, okay, let's be safe here? So that's kind of my biggest reservations with him, basically.
Yeah, and I did misspeak at the very beginning saying his experience. My experience meaning 6 years, 6 years in college. Yeah. But like you said, very rarely on either side of the ball did have a large sample size in terms of starts or snaps, all that stuff. But he's kind of the unsung combine just no one really talked about because there were 10.0 and 9.99 thrown around. He was number 4 out of 2,500 corners since 1987 in RAS score with 9.99.
Yeah.
And no one was really talking about it. So he's just one of those guys, like you said, track athlete, just straight up, hey, we're putting our best guys on the field to just
Speed. Yeah, speed kills, right?
Mhm.
That's what they say.
And like I said, tallest corner in the class, only guy 6'3", or even 6'2", and above 6'2", rather. But yeah, lots to like about him, even though he has a little bit of rawness in terms of production, age, and all that stuff.
I think he's good in zone, and I think he's fine in off man. So like he has a path that I see. One thing I will say that I want to add: he had 17 targets this year. 3 of them were interceptions. 1 dropped interception. 4 forced incompletions. 4 incomplete passes, and then only 5 receptions. So that number is just insane to me. Like 8 of those balls that were thrown, he touched out of the 17. Like almost 50% he got his hands on. He just is one of the craziest guys to try to like put at an NFL level and be like, yeah, this guy's going to be good, but he's 24 and a half, barely started. It's just, he's a scary player, but if you take the shot and you hit, you're getting a top 10 type of corner at the next level. And I couldn't put him higher than 9 because that scares the crap out of me.
Right. And on top of that, like there's a tier break also after him.
Yeah, for most people.
At least in terms of draft stock.
Right.
What I was about to bring up is basically from 8 on to number 1, all of these guys has had first round consideration.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with just unknown about the position, down years, injuries, all that stuff. But every single one of these names going forward, you've at least seen a mock draft with their name at some point throughout this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to bring that up, especially starting with number 8, Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. He's one of the guys that didn't have a true down year or injury he had to deal with, which has propelled him a little bit, but it's been a little too high. If I say so myself, am I wrong saying that?
Oh, I mean, we talked about this last year. We actually had a very long, in-depth conversation because we talked about how the fastest 40 doesn't mean you're going to do well. And at the NFL level, and your point was that like no one that has run 4.3 or under has actually performed well at the NFL level. And we were talking about Nate Wiggins, and I'm like, well, Nate Wiggins actually showed on film that he was good at football prior to running well, while guys like John Ross, these other guys were not good at football necessarily to warrant being a first round pick. Eric Stokes, these guys, while Maxwell's kind of the same way. I don't think. And we can have this conversation, obviously, but I don't think he's a top corner. Like, obviously, he's 8 in this class. Like, I don't think he's top 7 corner in this class. Like, I think he's the farther back guy out of all these guys. And I think there's a tier break between him and Darian Porter and then in the next guy, if that makes sense. He's in his own little tier. But he's just such a volatile player because he's not a man corner. He's 5'11", 183. He's a zone coverage style, very comfortable in zone. Sure. Good eyes and instincts. Ball skills are good. Route recognition. Like, I'm not going to down the guy. He does well in what his element is. But when I draft and think about drafting, I'm going to talk about getting the guy that can play man coverage and then play zone when he has to, because everybody kind of can learn how to play zone and learn and improve eyes and stuff like that. Playing man is something you just can't learn. Like, you just have to. Like, of course, you can learn a little bit, but, like, you have to have, like, that knack for it naturally. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that to me. And that's why he's so low. He's below average in every stat we have on this board. He could add some mass, obviously, 183, but that would take away his speed. He's not a great tackler. He had a 27.3% missed tackle rate.
That's
pretty
high.
Yeah, he's willing to try sometimes, but he's 180 pounds. Like, he's just going to get run over, basically. And I think he's scheme specific. Well, a lot of people are just saying, hey, he's can do anything and do everything. And I'm like, ooh, please no. Please don't do that. Like, he's not. I don't think he's that guy, basically.
Yeah, and, he had one of the fastest 40s in the entire, or the fastest 40. I'm
yes.
sorry. Yeah, because I know that A couple of the guys right behind him improved their 40s at their
Hmm.
pro days, but yeah, he had the fastest 40 overall at the combine. That's why he's risen so much. Like Daniel Jeremiah even jumped him all the way to 32 in the big board, and that's really really pushing it in our eyes. But yeah, I mean he's got tools there, but there's just not enough. We'll say he did have 5 interceptions and 2 pick sixes. In 2023, a little bit of a dip this past year, but um, just kind of is what it is. A lot of people had that in this cornerback class.
Yeah, he also only played 7 games this year, so that's another, you know, hindrance. But everybody had injuries, so we know that some of these guys are going to have to come back from those injuries and hopefully play better. We'll talk about some guys coming up that haven't really done anything. At least Maxwell got to he got to go to the combine and actually perform, which was good to see. Next up.
Yeah, so jumping up next, this was a guy that you really, really liked prior to his injury. I think he tore his ACL. You were saying that he could go, he's a first round pick, just like clear cut, and then all of a sudden ACL, and you still kind of held on to that for a little bit, but now it's kind of like he's probably the least likely of these guys to end up there. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get a tremendous value somewhere on day 2.
It's still a projection, because he did play for ECU and they were awful in 2023 when he was healthy. Like their record was like, I don't know, like 3 wins or something. So that didn't help him by any means. He played 3 games this year. He had 2 interceptions in his 3 games this year, which is good to see. He is a good run stopper, willingness to stop the run. He's a physically freakish player. Like his athleticism and his explosiveness, like of course you have Darian Porter. If you want to take the chance on him as the athlete in this class, that's fine. But I'm more willing to take on Ravel over Darian Porter, basically, because I think Ravel has some of the better. He's obviously a better tackler, which is a floor thing for me. He'll smack the shit at you off the line of scrimmage. Like he will not let you get off the line of scrimmage. He's going to play press man, and I think that those things are important at the NFL level to be able to play press man. He didn't have to do it. Like if you want to look at his percentages, he didn't play press man that much. I know that he only played man coverage 14% of the time, but when he did, it looked really good. Like he was very capable and comfortable doing it. So I thought that was good. He doesn't have the production, which is kind of the part of my problem. But then he didn't play a full year, and he had 2 interceptions already through 3 games. So in 2023, he only had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, as you see on the board. But at the same time, a 44.2 completion percent, that's basically what we had last year with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Those are the types of numbers you want to see. So he gets me more excited, I guess, than even Maxwell Hairston, who ran the super fast 40. I think Revel would have ran a 4.3 pretty comfortably, but I'm just more comfortable with him at the next level as long as he checks off all the physicals and all the things with his, injury, because I can't tell you how that's going, so that's one of my big things.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, just kind of a very strong player, both against the run and the pass. He is the second tallest corner, but he has also got the longest arms and the biggest hands. So physical guy is what you're getting out from Siobhan. It's just projection. Like you said, there's injury. That also, of all the injuries that there were, being the most significant, being an ACL, it did happen earlier in the season, so it's not the biggest thing, but he's still not participating in anything this entire offseason. So it's just kind of like, hey, I'm hoping for something. So he's one of the guys that somebody's going to take a chance on day 2. I feel pretty good about saying that. And if they don't, then it's going to be one of our favorite value picks when we do, recap the draft.
He is part of the all-ceiling team. We have a all-ceiling team coming out. He will be on it because he is just, if he does hit, he will be one of the best players in the league. One of his biggest problems, and we talked about this with Terrion Arnold last year, penalties. He's a grabby player. And playing man coverage, you have to be a little bit grabby, but he's a grabby player, and Terrion Arnold had that issue, and we've seen Terrion Arnold not necessarily live up to the possibly number 1 cornerback in the class last year for some people's boards. So just wanted to put that out there, but I really like him.
Right. So we'll jump over to number 6. Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, with a lot of Ole Miss defenders in this class. I think it's the last one we're talking about. because we've
Yeah.
already gone over the defensive line. So, yeah, really good player. Stood out. He went to 3 different schools: Louisiana for 3 years in the Sun Belt, then went to Alabama for a year, and then all the way to Ole Miss, where he had his best season. One of the guys that he's a 5th-year guy, but he kind of continuously improved.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say that?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And also, he obviously improved from being a Louisiana guy in the Sun Belt to Alabama recruiting him.
Mm-hmm.
But then at Alabama, it was like Taron Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry were there, and he had to find his way. And going to Mississippi and getting to play this year, he was one of the best corners, just like on the field corners that I saw, which is very, very cool to see, like someone just improve throughout their career and do so well. He has the length. I love his length on film, like his arm length on film, and you can see it from the picture. He looks like he's just got that extra arm length that you like to see for a corner. He's kind of good at everything, not great at anything. Zone man, etc., off man, all those things. He's most natural as probably an off man corner, but I think his hips are really oily, can move really well, plays through the hands, and that's always good to see when you're like getting beat. He doesn't give up, and he plays right through the hands. He's won a lot of battles, doing that. He's got good instincts. He's a quick decision maker, which is always, that's hard to find sometimes, and like you need that. You need guys that are like, hey, like even if I'm wrong, I'm gonna go. He's willing in run support. I think he's actually pretty solid run support guy, even with his 81.0 run grade. Some of the cons, I thought he had bad long speed. I thought he was going to be slow. Well, he was not slow at the combine. So that was good to see. I think his overall athleticism might be down compared to some of the other guys in this class. But I think he's kind of like the floor guy across the board for me. If you're going to be talking about, you talked about 8 to like 3, that group. Like, I think he's got a really solid floor for that group, and I think you can kind of make that case. 8 to 4, sorry. Apologies. Mm-hmm. I think the top 3 are kind of in their own zone.
Right, yeah. But yeah, like you said, very strong, both in, above an 80 in both run coverage and coverage grades.
Yes.
For PFF, forced 13 incompletions, which tied for the most on this list. Just kind of a late bloomer. One question I did have, because you said you did have concerns about long distance speed. His split is the slowest among the guys that participated.
That makes sense.
That kind of,
I think that makes sense. Honestly, I think he might be one of the guys that gets up to speed slower, because you can kind of tell when he comes out of his breaks. I don't know that on deep balls, like I think he was probably fine though. Now that I'm like kind of like thinking about how his split worked, because he was a 4.3 or
4.43.
4.43. Yeah, that's plenty fast. Yeah. So,
and we had a ton of fast 40s, so we can't get into the I guess era of these uber athletic guys be like, yeah, 4.4. That's not.
Yeah, if percentile wise, that's probably in the 60s or 70s. Like that's solid. So let's not. Yeah, we're not gonna overlook it. I think probably like a 4.48 is probably at 50% of all guys. So, and I don't have those numbers in front of me. You can fact check me if you want to put it in the comments. That'd be great. I appreciate it. But yeah, I think that that's about where 50% should be. But he was solid this year.
Right. Yeah, so let's go to another guy
with injuries,
and we'll talk about injuries. Benjamin Morrison. This was one that was a bummer to me, because I really liked him in 2023, and he really just barely played at all, and which sucked, because this was their best Notre Dame team in years. So just imagine what arguably their best defensive player would have made a possible difference on the national runner-up.
Right. If you look up there his accolades, like he was a Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist. Like he was an absolute stud in 23, preseason All-American this last year. He is, the problem with him is similar to Ravel, is like, what is the timeline on his injuries? Because he had 2 surgeries, shoulder and hip. The shoulder was smaller than the hip, but I think they did it because he was going to be laid up anyways. So it's kind of like, what is the timeline? We haven't heard anything. But at the same time, if you're going to get a guy at 21.3 years old when the season starts, so he's probably not even 21 yet on this date, and he's a smooth and fluid mover that is just always in control. The coolest thing about him, I didn't know this until I started like doing the numbers. He played man more than anybody else in this class. He played man over 60% of the time, 60.7% of the time. Like, it's hard enough to play man 30% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's out there just like, I got this guy. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Like, that's really something to like think about when you're talking about these guys. Like, he has the experience playing something that I think the NFL is built around, and then can do the other things if he has to. He understands the field spacing really well. He presses wide receivers to the sideline, and that has to do with the fact that he's always in man. He's like, oh, well, I will make sure that you have no space. His alignment flexibility, I think he could be a nickel at the end of the day. I don't think it's his best position, obviously. If you're drafting him in the second round, most likely, or even at the end of the first round, you're not playing him a nickel, you're playing him outside corner so he can stop the best player. But I think he could do it. He has top-level ball skills, 9 interceptions in his career, and he did not play in all the games this year, and he had 10 games he missed out on this year. He's just a competitor, and I love competitors. To me, he's the competitor that Quinyon Mitchell was last year, and that excites me because, of course, Quinyon Mitchell I would have had ranked higher, even with a healthy year from Benjamin Morrison. But at the same time, it's like, that's the type of player I want on my team. High competitors, I want, like winners all the time. And that was the kind of player I saw. He even without him playing at Notre Dame this year, I think he had such an impact on them because of that. And that's important to me. So
Right. And while you were watching him be one of the highest percentile man corners, did he travel at all? Or was he more just kind of on one side? Because that's becoming a lost art in today's game of just guys that are just like, hey, where's your number one? You're following
right
everywhere you go.
He did travel. And like I said, he actually played in the slot too. So he's willing to do whatever you need him to do. Like that's another thing. It's like he's just like, I got it, coach, kind of thing. And I love that. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. But yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it. Like, I'll go take care of it. It's fine. His biggest issue is like he doesn't necessarily have insane long speed. His strength is probably lower, but he's also very young, so that kind of comes with it. His injury, and then I don't know that I think he has elite athleticism. I think he's got good athleticism, but not an elite to me. And he almost made it to 4. He was almost our 4th corner, but it was like the injury concern and not hearing anything and it being a hip scares the hell out of me because that is a big issue. Hips are tough, and we have a PA on staff, so we have talked about it a couple times. And it's just a tough, Dustin said, it's a tough injury to come back from. So
yeah. So I'd say let's jump into number 4. We'll take a break from the injured guys for a little bit
for a second.
The next couple. So Azaria Thomas out of Florida State, one of the few bright spots in a very, very forgettable year. But yeah, he was a very solid corner that has really risen up draft boards late. Maybe by default, maybe not, but he is one of the youngest guys at the position. He will barely be 21 when the season starts in 6 months. So lots to like about him.
Azaria is a guy that he played on Florida State, and Florida State, being as bad as they were this year, really kind of probably brought his overall game down. But he did play and start on that team last year next to some really big names, including Renardo Green, some guys that are playing at the NFL level at a high level. And I think he has that kind of talent, to play at a high level. He is a man corner. He is the most natural probably man corner. I don't think he can play in the nickel. He tried to do that at the Senior Bowl, and Tez Johnson made him look silly. Like, it is what it is. Like, he's only outside, but he is a natural mover, just so smooth and in and out of his breaks. And like, you just see those guys and you're like, whoa, like that guy, like he very fluid kind of guy. Length is awesome. Physicality, he uses his body in pass game, willingness to tackle. He's a blitzer at times. They do that a lot. He's a red zone, and he's a red zone menace. Absolute red zone menace. Like, it is personal when they get in the red zone. He is going to make sure that you are not going to score. He's not going to be the guy you're getting a highlight on. He will not allow it. It's not going to happen. And I love that. I love that kind of competitiveness, even for a team that won one game. His cons are long speed, I don't think he's that fast, and I don't remember. Did he run the 40?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
There's a
it
lot of guys up top.
was a good
No,
choice.
he did
Not running the
not.
40 for him,
He
I
did
think.
do the broad, which he did do a 10-2,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
great.
pretty solid.
I think he needs to improve his angles in the run game sometimes. Like he just takes bad angles. And he will give away free releases in press sometimes, and that's annoying. Just because like he doesn't have to. And then productivity. I mean, he did great productively on a 1-11 team to stop touchdowns, but he didn't create turnovers either. And that's something that the NFL you need as an NFL team is just to be able to create those turnovers.
Yeah, and it's not anymore to where quarterbacks are going to say screw it and just chunk it down, and
Right.
you base the top corners based on their interceptions. More of it's concise, and if you can shut down one side of the field, because that is a very, like I said, lost art in football. But yeah, despite being on a very bad Florida team, didn't allow a touchdown. One of the fewest in terms of being targeted, yards allowed, all that stuff. A lot of that are products of not having to have a lot of passing situations to defend against, also being a down year in the ACC, but
Right.
lots of like you said, just kind of fundamentally feels like a really solid man corner going forward.
Yeah, and he played 66% of his snaps in zone, so he's, that's probably about average. That's what you should probably play overall. But next guy. So we go from my team, we go to Cam's team.
Yeah.
Very different year, to say the least.
Yeah, Jahdae Barron, the Jim Thorpe Award winner. Yeah, he was the guy that made the most of his opportunity this year, and he really, really just kind of down the stretch made a lot of money for himself.
He made some serious plays. I mean, 5 interceptions to 0 touchdowns. He had a 91.8 zone grade. And I think that's super important because he played 81% of his snaps in zone. And that's what he'll do in the NFL. Like he is a zone corner, but he might be the most natural zone football player. Let's not even call him a corner, like honestly, because he's not going to play corner alone. Like we all remember Cooper DeJean last year, and we talked about him a lot. And he played corner, and he played safety, and he played nickel, and he did everything. Well, Jade's the next guy to do that. Cooper DeJean had an interception in the Super Bowl. It helped to win that game, Jade's going to fit that same mold, but because he played zone, he had a lot more targets thrown his way. And he capitalized with 5 interceptions, like we said. Alignment versatility. I'm going to read these numbers off. 2023, he had 43 snaps at cornerback. That's it. 43. 489 in the slot and 154 in the box. That's a lot of freaking slot and box snaps. Cornerback this year, 679. And then in the box, 142, and in the slot, 122. He is going to play every position. He is a great tackler. He's got a 9.5 missed tackle rate. Technique in zone, I mean, of course, technique, route recognition, eyes, breaking on other zones even, like not even having to stay in his zone and anticipating other zones. That's what he does well. Problem is, with him is he's scheme dependent. I think that's the biggest issue. It's like he has to kind of play that style of football, which isn't a problem if you go to the right team. And I hope he does because I want him to do well, and I want him to go to that team that does that. So that's my biggest thing with him.
Of all the teams that kind of need some corners, because corner is one of those positions where he's kind of flirting with being, cornerback 1 off the board from just the corners.
Right.
What is a team or two that you would prefer to see him go to where he could probably reach more of his ceiling compared to others?
I want to say, well, I mean, we mentioned Indy as being one of those teams in just the mock draft that we did prior. I think they would make a lot of sense. I'm trying to think of who would actually be capable of taking him because I've seen Mel Kiper even put him in the late 20s, and I'm like, there's no way he'll be there. So let's just be very honest with it. That's not going to happen. If I just thought about teams like earlier than that, I think the Bears make some sense. I don't think they'll do it, but I think they make some sense. They run high amount of zone. Not the Jets. That's too high, probably. Send them to the Cowboys. Why not?
Yeah.
Sure. Add to it.
The other Longhorn.
Fair that we keep seeing.
Yeah, he's also local, Austin, Texas. Went to John B. Connolly High School. fifth-year player out of Texas, did really well, made the most of it, got better and better every year, and like you said, very versatile. And Daniel Jeremiah, who we compare and contrast to often, that's one of his
Yeah.
flag plant guys. He's all the way at 8 in terms of overall big board, which isn't too crazy, but it's just kind of much higher than a lot of people want to give him credit for.
No, and I'm not against it because we did. If it's a copycat league, and we saw Cooper DeJean last year, and you want that type of player, when I think about cornerback, I want corners that can play man at a high level, and that's the biggest thing for me because at the end of the day, if you can't do that, you can't run certain defenses, and so because everybody, like I said, can play zone at in some capacity. Not everybody can play man at a high level. And that's why he's at 3 and not above the other guys who can do a little bit better at that man coverage type of stuff. But I think he's good enough at both to still be much higher than the other guys on this list. He'll be in the teens for us. I think it's a reasonable spot. I don't know that, I think if you put him in the top 10, you're really pushing that he has the upside to do. He'll go to the right place, first off. And then second off, also play man better than he is currently doing, which is fine. I don't hate that. I just think in the teens, you're a lot more flexible on if he doesn't go to the right place and he has to play more man and he's not good at it, what then? So that's kind of my biggest thing with him.
Yeah. All right.
I do love him, though. He's great.
So moving on, this is about to be a very fun topic.
Yeah,
number
controversial.
2. And should it be even that controversial? Travis Hunter, number 2 corner. Is that disrespectful? No, it's not. It's just we like the number 1 guy more. But give us a little bit about Travis Hunter. We touched a lot on him in the receiver video, obviously. But as a corner, we're talking purely a cornerback prospect. What do you like about him?
I love talking about Travis Hunter. He's a fun guy to talk about. He's polarizing as hell. I actually think he's a better receiver prospect right now, and we talked about this before. I think he right now is a better receiver overall prospect. But we also made the point that he has the most opportunity to play both ways. First off, playing corner first and being sub packages on offense. He has the most opportunity to be an all-pro Hall of Famer at corner, not at receiver. He has way more opportunity to make money at receiver, though. Let's be honest with that. So that might be something.
I don't know. We've seen some recent extensions.
That's true. That's true.
Starting to get out there, but
you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's fun. It's such a fun topic to talk about because we haven't seen anybody that has been able to truly do this. Champ Bailey was really good, but he wasn't. We're not talking about a guy that was going to be an offensive threat. Also, he's probably a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, very solid, but not going to play at the amount of snaps that Travis Hunter is about to on both sides,
right,
depending on the team, which we also got into earlier. 5-star, should have gone to Florida State. Just saying. He has just elite athleticism, twitch, short area quickness, long speed. He's got really good IQ because this is his original first position. He actually really knows how to play this position. He's a very intelligent person. He is the best ball hawk in the class. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows how to come from one zone to another and take over. Extremely competitive in the red zone. And I thought his improvement from 2023 to 2024 was just incredible for this position. Cons, his technique. He does have bad technique. It is what it is because he just doesn't play the position enough. He plays offense so much and he practice and film and all those things. You have to have the time. There's not enough time in the day for Travis Hunter to be good at both. He is good. That's not what I mean. But to be incredible technique wise at both. And the other question is, do I think he can play press corner? I think he can, but I don't think he's a top corner at it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's better than, and we had this conversation on the receiver video, but I don't think he's better than Sauce Gardner. I don't think he's even better than J.C. Horn and Pat Surtain and these most recent, so many good corners in the last 5 drafts. I don't know that I think he's better than any of them. But I think the next guy is in the same class as them, at least. The Devin Witherspoon is the one I left out. But yeah, so that's kind of my biggest pushback on the whole Travis Hunter thing. I think he's a better receiver prospect. He was our number one receiver. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it. But yeah, so like that's my big thing with him.
Yeah, it's a very mixed bag because we're saying, hey, better receiver prospect, but more likely to be an all-time great at X position. But it's kind of, a bend and break of just like receivers come a dime a dozen. There's not many great corners anymore. Barely, if you have two good corners, like you can change the game on your defense. And, not many people can say that anymore. But Travis Hunter, I think he's one of the guys that's relied more on his, like, just being him.
Yeah, his athleticism
and that hasn't really been him enough to where it's forced a change in technique or like to refine his game a little bit because he's, gone to, what was it, Jackson State, and then he went to, Colorado.
Big 12.
Big 12, and even before that, it was a bad year last year of the Pac-12, and there was games where he's gotten mossed. He's
Io Maynor. I look Io Maynor, man.
But that doesn't mean that he's not awesome.
Yeah. And my other thing is like maybe he is just that good. Like maybe I'm just like wrong and he should be our number one player and he's that good and he's going to be that good at both positions at the NFL level and he can do it because he's like a superhuman. I just haven't ever seen it, and outliers only hit how often, and I'm a stats guy, I'm a math guy. Like true outliers are 0.3% of like all things. Okay. I think Travis Hunter could be that, but the odds are just really against him. And I'm not going to run to the podium and say that he's the best guy at both and he's going to be a Hall of Famer type at both, like some people are willing to. But if he does hit his ceiling, like we had a conversation with one of our buddies that, is Shohei versus Travis Hunter if he hits his ceiling. It's like Travis Hunter's in the conversation if he finds his ceiling. It's just right now, obviously, we can't predict that. But it's like if he finds the ceiling, he's possibly he's the greatest athlete of all time. It's just we don't know yet.
And it's also hard to project or predict things that you've never seen before.
Right.
So it's like I'm rooting for it so hard, but I'm tempering expectations because a lot of times in media, people like to just make bold claims that are just like there's no backing or standing. It's just you're putting yourself out there, and it's just like there's nothing to gain other than just you were one of many that felt this way.
If I were to like take this bold take on Travis Hunter to be the greatest athlete of all time and set like records offensively and defensively, like I wouldn't be the only one saying it, and there's no data to ever back it, and that's the hardest part. It's like you said, temper expectations of just overall, but like he's a great player, and he's the number one receiver on this list, and the number 2 cornerback. Like you don't get that every day. Just enjoy what you have. Yeah. Don't over push it and like make him almost like you can't make him a god yet. Right? Like they're pushing him to be a god, and like we're just trying to talk about him as like, hey, he's still less than 22 years old right now. Like we need to see him do some things before we can be like, he's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. So that's my thing.
Well, with that said, let's jump to our number one. Not many people view this way anymore. It was to start the season for many, but it's tailed off, one because of a down year, but just pure talented corner prospect, Will Johnson, number one.
Look, I hate this because he has 6 interceptions in the last 2 years, no touchdowns given up, and he only played 6 games this year, so that is what it is. I think he profiles as a press man corner, absolutely, just like size and technique and things like that. But he's probably better at off man and off zone. But at the same time, I think he's so elite at those two that it doesn't surprise me, right? Like he's great at press man, and then he's just elite at the other two, and people are like, well, he's just a zone corner. And I'm like, no, hold on. He's good at everything. He's great at everything, honestly. But you're just seeing the things he's best at as like a downfall because, like myself, I think press man corners are what make the NFL. And we have a press man corner here if we want him to play press man. But if we want him to play zone, he's really good at that too. And if we want him to play off man, he's really good at that too. So let's just remind ourselves that there's a whole encompassing, and if we put it on a rating scale, he'd still be great at the thing that you think he's the worst at, which is the most important. Um, his off man ability to like read the quarterback with his eyes and like explode through the ball. I mean, he had so many short interceptions that he just took to the house that were 3-yard routes. He just like, okay, I'm going to jump that. Mm-hmm. And he has the instincts to do it. He's also that people have problems with his long speed. I can see that being an issue. I mean, sure. But at the same time, I think he has high athleticism. He was a 5-star athlete. He's scheme versatile. He's a ball hawk. He does it all. And he's in the same conversation with guys like J.C. Horn, Sauce Gardner, Pat Surtain, Devin Witherspoon, all those guys. He's in that conversation. He's one of the top, to me, in just like taking away half a field out of all those guys. Sauce Gardner was Derek Stingley. That's who I missed. I did not say his name earlier. That's who I was missing. Sauce Gardner and Will Johnson remind me a lot of each other when they came out of college. And Sauce is one of my favorite players in the NFL, even if he plays on a really dysfunctional team and it hurts his production.
Yeah, and Will Johnson battle tested.
Yes,
is the biggest thing I can say about him. 3 years as a starter, or really 2.5, but he was second team All-American this year playing 6 games. If you want to see how well regarded he is,
national championship, defensive MVP, man.
Defensive MVP, like I was about to say.
Sorry,
no,
I'm excited. I just get excited.
He was freshman All-American. Just every time he was on the field, he was the best at what he did. And obviously, Michigan losing so much, including a defensive coordinator and everything. They lost everything except for Mason Graham and Will Johnson and Kenneth Grant. Those were the 3 building blocks, and then he goes down for half the year as well, so it didn't help things. But, I don't think people are giving him enough credit. And even despite him not playing at all, it's like we saw people in recent drafts that you brought up have down years and still get taken high because they played. So a guy that didn't have as elite of a year before his injury, but he missed half the year with a short term, like it's nothing significant like a hip injury Benjamin Morrison's dealing with. I think it was an ankle, and then he's dealing with a minor hamstring injury, which is why he hasn't participated in much of the pre-draft process. But all short-term things, and people are just like pushing him out the top 10 and 15, and I don't think it's really justified with all the teams that could use him in those range.
There is so much prospect fatigue when it comes to Will Johnson. Mm-hmm. And you just got to stop. Because we had prospects fatigue with Derek Stingley. And Derek Stingley then went and decided to rewrite history with his newest deal. And we're going to see some of those things. Like, we have prospect fatigue on some of these guys. There's a shiny new player in Jahdae Barron that is getting put ahead of him. And that's fine. Someone can enjoy that. But there's something about a guy like Will Johnson who has been consistently good every time he's on the field, and you never have to worry about his side of the field. He's just that guy. Like, he just is. So we need to remember what he was. Mason Graham's getting prospect fatigue. Like, there's guys that have just been doing it too long and been too good at it, and they're just, they're not as good anymore. We watched the same film multiple times, and they never made a mistake, but I'm going to pick someone else because they're more fun.
They're flashy.
I'm like,
did this awesome 40 yesterday or something.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm even trying to look up news because Will Johnson, like I said, he hasn't participated in really anything this year. The most recent news is just he's not going to have a pro day because of his hamstring, like I mentioned.
Right.
But there's like just nothing. And then there's like, could Will Johnson fall out of first round? Why is that even a topic? Why is that a topic?
He's a top 10 player.
He's a top 10 player in his class. And he is, like you said it perfectly, prospect fatigue. That's just don't overthink it.
I agree. I want to do the rankings between years now, and on this slide, I want to talk about something because it's Will Johnson and Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter is a blue chip prospect in this class. He is above Will Johnson, and it has to do with the fact of his capabilities on offense and defense and how he can affect the game. Because he's actually, like, if you're just going to talk about where he's ranked, he's probably ranked around 12, both positions, right? Like 9 to 14 is like in his range of rankings for a cornerback if he just played cornerback and if he just played receiver. Like he'd be in that range for me personally. I don't know that that's the case for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how these rankings work. And it's like these are separate rankings. So these aren't the big board is the ranking between both. If he was like able to play both positions like he's going to at the NFL level. So that's why he's so much higher, because you're going to be getting two players in one, basically. So he's number 2. Quinyon Mitchell 3, Nate Wiggins 4, Cooper DeJean 5. I put Cooper DeJean over Jade Barron, and we had that conversation. Who you wanted higher? I think you said Jade, if I remember correctly.
I don't think I did.
No, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was one of them, and I was like, I think Cooper's just he did so many good things, and dropping to 40, like we're not going to see that with Jade. You're getting a similar player though. They're going to be ranked basically the exact same on our big boards. One will have a first round grade next to his name, and I don't know if the other will yet. Maybe. I haven't, we haven't finished it out, but yeah. So Cooper DeJean, Jade, Taron Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, TJ Tampa. So that 24 class goes strong for a few. Ennis Rakestraw, Kamari Lassiter, who had a great year this year. And then you have Azareye'h Thomas. Then next group, Azareye'h Thomas, Benjamin Morrison, who I said were really close together. Mike Sanderstill, who was 50 on our board last year. Happy that he made it on that board because he did so well.
That was one of your flag planners.
I love that guy, man. He's so good at football. Mikey, baby. He played nickel. So if he played corner the whole year, he might have been higher, But Trey Amos, Savon Revel, and Maxwell Hairston round out the list. Fun group. It's fun group. I love this group.
Really fun group. And not many of them are the cornerback 1 overall in the class caliber. Like right. we mentioned the 7 or 8 guys. It's just been such a great run of like cornerback 1s. 6, 7, 8 guys that are just like, hey, all of these guys have an argument as the top 3 corner now. All of them have panned out so far, and we expect it at minimum. I'm just saying Will Johnson because he's purely a corner. Travis Hunter, if he plays full-time corner, right, can pan out as well. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. And then, yeah, you can't sleep on guys that were fringe first rounders. A lot of what we said about the edges as like who's edge 2 to like edge 8, it's all jumbled. That's how the cornerback class was last year. And a lot of this was just didn't know what to do. A lot of people had Taron Arnold as cornerback 1, and we were never there.
I was not ever going to get there either.
We were never there.
There's no way.
And if there is one guy that truly did not, have a good rookie year, he's the one guy.
Right.
That didn't have, he had promise, but there was a lot more bad than good. You can't really say that about many of these guys. So, that just shows the depth of the class.
Well, another thing, too, that I want to mention is, situation is so important, right? Quinyon Mitchell, Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean go to teams that are top 3 in both of their conferences. Nate Wiggins at Baltimore and the other 2 at Philly. Taron Arnold goes to Detroit. That felt like a good situation where we were going to be on him and hoping he does well. Kool-Aid McKinstry actually had a pretty good year, but no one knows about it because he played for the Saints. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So TJ Tampa will probably be the predecessor and play corner for the Baltimore Ravens. He's the guy that should step in. So opportunities matter. Kamari Lassiter goes to the Texans. That was a good pick. And the Texans were good at football. They made the playoffs. So situation matters just as much as, us ranking these lists. Like at the end of the day, if Quinyon Mitchell doesn't go to the Eagles, he might not have the same year that he had, even knowing he's a good football player, and you might just not know about it. So right. I think that's important to really think about. Multiple year sample sizes are more important than just single years.
Right. Yeah, with that being said, that's our cornerback rankings. We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you've made it this far, please leave a like, comment, give us anything you got, whether you like our point, hate our point, doesn't matter. Talk about whoever you want to. We want to get your thoughts on these guys because it's a pretty good class. Keep on watching the other positions that we've gone over. We're almost done with this prospect ranking series, and then we're just kind of all speculation at this point. Less than 28 days from the draft, we're going to be doing a draft party the night of day 1, and it's going to be a whole lot of excitement leading up to it.
Yep. Like Cam said, though, please comment. We love the comments. We love, coming at us and telling us we're wrong. it's opinionated. So I mean, I can be wrong and right all at the same time. It doesn't really matter. I can sometimes make a case for certain things that I said and whatnot, but I love hearing like what y'all think, especially if you need a cornerback on your team. Which guys are your guys? Which guys do you dislike? Why? Um, who are you willing to take a chance on? We talked about Savon Revel. Like, are you willing to take a chance on a guy that has played 3 games this year and played for a 3-9 team? I mean, maybe not. So, yeah, just get in the comments. We that helps us a lot, of course, with not only just our overall outreach on this, but also just kind of getting us to think about things in a different way. Sometimes, we're one track mind, and we didn't think of things in a different way. So sometimes it helps us too.
Mhm.
But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later, guys.